Well, hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Issues. And here we are in the beautiful summer. That's right, here in Santa Cruz. It's just been beautiful. I hope you're enjoying your summertime. I know I sure am here. You know, we've got so much going for us here in Santa Cruz, it's ridiculous. We got the beautiful beaches out there. We have the incredible boardwalk, and I don't know if you're not spending enough time there to appreciate how fun this is, but the boardwalk's one of my favorite places. And with the concerts on Friday night, you just can't go wrong. And it just reminds me of the summer of love. And everybody should be loving each other. And you know what, you guys out there at home? I love all of you, because without your support on this show, I would have given this up a long time ago. You know, I'm just a rocker by heart. And this whole political thing's just way over my head sometimes. And I do this because I just love what's going on here at Community TV and all the support I get from you guys. And so love is such a wonderful thing. And you know what they're telling us on the news right now is that we better start loving Israel. That's right, folks. You better love Israel, because in a couple years, all of you have to love Israel. And you know what? Because they want to start World War III. That's right. They're doing everything they possibly can to get this instigated. And, you know, they've got to be the biggest creeps in the world that they sit there and think they can go over and take over a whole country and push all the natural citizens out and make this a Hebrew, German, Israel state. And, you know, all they really want to do is own the world. And they'd be happiest if they own the world. And so here we got our buddy in Iran, Mr. Ahmadinejad, who goes to the United Nations and tells them what a bunch of creeps we are here in America, that we actually blew up our own trade center and killed our own people, and we're committing atrocities across the world, and all they're trying to do is protect their sovereignty. But you know what? That's not good enough, because we've got to get all these blockades in place. We're going to do everything we can to piss these guys off, just like we did to Japan in World War II, folks. It's all starting in well, let me talk about Syria. You know, here we go. Syria, well, we're trying to get the government out so it can be part of our new world order, like all the other Northern Africa and Middle Eastern nations. You know, until they're all part of our new world order, that we just have to get this happening. But unfortunately, China and Russia are backing the government of Syria. And so, oh gosh, what does that mean? You know, here we are, the United Nations against Russia and China, the communists. Does that remind you of anything, folks? Think back if you can. And so I hope Mr. Ahmadinejad is smart enough to realize that this is all just a scam. And if you fall for it, you're toast. All of the Middle East is toast, and it's just a mess. And you want to know why we're doing this? Well, it's all foretold in the Bible, folks. That's right. The King David version of the Bible tells exactly why we're doing this. Is because the Muslims have built this wonderful temple in Jerusalem, and well, the Bible prophesizes that it isn't going to be complete until the Hebrew Jewish people build a temple on this site. And so they even have the drawings and everything ready for this. And as soon as we can get Iran to blow up Jerusalem and we start World War III, well, then the Hebrews can come back and build their temple. See, it's just a piece of cake, folks. It's only going to take a world war to get that done. But hey, man, the Muslims, you know, and Israel, you know, and it's World War III, and it's a temple. You know, what can I say? But anyway, let's just get back here to the United States. We've got much more pressing issues here, and one of those is our presidential race, and it's coming up here in just a couple more months, folks. And I heard on the news today that you don't have to worry about voting in California because you don't care anyway, and it doesn't really matter who you vote for. That there's only really 8 states out of the 50 that our 2 presidential candidates are worried about, and they're called swing states. Everybody else, they've already picked who they're going to vote for, just like you in California. You've already picked for Obama. Nobody's going to spend any money here. They're going to come and rake your pockets clean. But, you know, and they're both going to be filthy rich. By the time this is all said and done, both of them are going to have billions and billions of dollars. And they really don't care who's president. Just like you don't really care, do you? Because none of you are getting out there to vote. But anyway, I've got a treat for you. I made a special trip out to Washington, and I finagled these two guys to come and talk to you. And so I'm going to go out there to Washington, and we're going to show you a clip of the presidential debate. So Spilly out in Washington, take it away. Well, hey there, folks. Here we are at the very first presidential debate, and I'm the one that's going to bring it to you before anybody else. That's right. I got these two guys right over here. Here they are, Obama and Romney, and they're going to address some big issues right now just for you people here in Santa Cruz. So let me get right to it so I don't waste any time. First question is for Mr. Obama. Mr. Obama, if you could, how do you feel about the economy and how's that going these days? Well, Spilly, the economy is a very important issue for us Democrats. As you know, I've been working hard to bring the economy back, and as you can see, everything's just fine right now, and none of you should worry about the economy at all anyway. Well, what about you, Mr. Romney? Do you have anything to say about this? Well, first off, Mr. Spilly, thank you very much for allowing me to be on your show out there in California. We got a great race ahead of us and lots of things to talk about here in this debate tonight, and it's very important that we have this debate. And I think that's the most important thing that we can talk about tonight is these issues. And so thank you very much, Spilly, for letting me be on your show. All right, the next issue is taxes. This one goes to you, Mr. Romney. How do you feel about taxes? Well, I'm against all taxes. Nobody should have any taxes at all. We'll do away, if you elect me, we'll do away with all the taxes. How's that sound? And now you, Mr. Obama, what's your feelings on this whole tax situation? Well, I promised when I took office that there would be no new taxes, and there's no new taxes, Spilly. I don't care what the Supreme Court says about the Medicare thing. If they're calling it a tax, I'm not calling it a tax. I want to lower taxes. We'll all have cheaper taxes. Yeah, that's it, cheaper taxes. Interesting. Well, you know, the big topic right now is health care and the Obamacare plan and the Supreme Court. So, Mr. Obama, we'll let you go with this one first. How do you feel your health care plan's going? Well, as you know, Obamacare is a very important issue, and I've worked really hard, and now millions and millions of Americans are going to have insurance. And the people that have to pay, well, you know, that's part of the American way is you got to pay, and somebody's got to pay for this, and the American people have to pay. And Mr. Romney, do you have any thoughts about that? Well, that Obamacare is a sham. Everybody knows it's a sham. It's a tax. It's a sham. The government says it's a tax. The Supreme Court says it's a tax. It ain't going to help anybody. The insurance companies aren't happy, even though they're going to make millions. And well, you know, it's just not the Republican way, Spilly. The health care, Obamacare, we're going to repeal that. You all vote for me, and I'll repeal that. Well, another key issue this election is immigration. And so this one we'll send out to Mr. Romney first. Mr. Romney, what do you feel about immigration, sir? Immigration, well, you know, Spilly, I think that anybody that can afford to be an American citizen should have the right. So students that can come over and get a high degree here, well, they should get an automatic green card. And I think anybody that has enough money can become a citizen here of the United States. And you know, and waiting lists, you know, we don't really need any waiting lists. And well, when it's one country anyway, you know, the Mexicans are going to be citizens. So let's just open up immigration to the people that got the money, Spilly. And you, Mr. Obama, immigration, come on now. You know, you're not even a natural citizen. What's your feelings on this whole thing? Immigration, Spilly, well, you know what I say about immigration is, immigration's what made America what it is today. And if it wasn't for all the immigrants here working and being slaves, working for them, well, Spilly, you know, immigration's important. All right, well, we're running out of time, and we're going to have to wrap this up. So I want to get to this last issue about the military presence in the United States. Mr. Obama, what are your feelings these days about our military? Yes, the military. Well, as you know, I came true to my promises 4 years ago to get the military out of Iraq, and we're going to get the military out of Afghanistan here before the year's out, and then before you know it, there'll be no more war, and it'll be peace, and you guys will all be loving me. You just got to vote for me again, and you'll all love me. Trust me, you'll love me. And how about you, Mr. Romney? That was very interesting, Mr. Obama. What do you think about this whole military thing? Well, the American people need to know that if I'm elected president, that we'll have the strongest military presence in the world. We don't have to worry about them damn Chinese or them Russians. We'll take care of them all. It'll be a new world order like the Republicans. Well, you know, it's been in the books. It'll be a wonderful place if you elect me president. Ay, caramba. Oh, goodness. Well, you know, there you have it, folks. It really doesn't matter who you vote for this election. They're both in on it. Both these guys over here, you know, they're both in on it. So vote for Roseanne Barr. That's what I say. Vote for Roseanne Barr, and that'll fix their little red wagons. Anyway, that's it for the first debate here in Santa Cruz with the two presidents. Thank you guys so much for being here. Well, thank you very much for letting me be on the show, Spilly. Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Spilly, for letting me be on your show tonight. It's been a real pleasure, and you people out there in California, you know, you're not a swing state. Chances are none of you are going to vote for me anyway. So, and it really doesn't. I mean, it does matter who you vote for. So get out there and vote, all you Californians. All right. Well, that was pretty interesting, don't you think? I hope you learned a lot. You're going to be seeing these two guys do this, and if they do any better than how they did on Tonight Show, it'll be amazing. But anyway, you just keep watching, and you'll see what I have. So anyway, I got some great stuff going on here tonight. I've got the mayor of Santa Cruz here, and we're going to have a good time talking about the good things about Santa Cruz. And then Uncle Spunky's going to be back to tell you about the Fed Reserve. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the show tonight. Thanks. All right, just like I said, folks, I'm here with the illustrious mayor of Santa Cruz, Mr. Don Lane. Don, thank you so much for being part of the show tonight. And we just want to share some of the great of Santa Cruz with you. And, you know, even the people here in Santa Cruz, sometimes you take our wonderful community for granted. Even I do. And so, you know, we're going to talk about the good in Santa Cruz today. And Don, so what's, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, for those of you that don't know who you are.
Sure. I've lived in Santa Cruz since 1973, went to UCSC, started a business called the Saturn Cafe out of college, did that for the next 15 years, then ran another restaurant for a little while, ran an ice cream shop for a little while, served a term on the city council back in the late 80s and early 90s. Done a lot of work in the social services sector, the nonprofit sector in the last several years, and then ran for another term on the city council about 4 years ago, and this year was elected to be mayor by my colleagues on the city council.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now that sounds like the American dream come true. a little ice cream shop and part of the political realm. That's just great. So what's going on in Santa Cruz now? I hear that we're adopting a general plan now. Is that for the 1 year? Is that
no,
a
that's
long-term
actually
plan
that's
now?
a 20-year plan. Essentially, it's a long-term plan, and it is general. You know, that label is a good one for it. In addition to being long-term, it doesn't try to lay out very super specific things about where the community is going, but it kind of just sets the guidelines for our vision for the community. Where do we want things to be built when we build more things? Where do we not want things built? Where do we want open space to be protected? How do we want our transportation system to look? Where do we want affordable housing in the community? It kind of sets a framework.
Great, great. Well, how about downtown then? How's downtown fitting? You know, there's a lot of controversy with the whole one-way, two-way, and
right.
I know we've talked about this a year ago.
Yeah.
And it still seems to be
it's still
hot
out
box
there.
item.
I don't think that there's a lot of support for going to a two-way traffic. I think there's some interest in it from some people, but there's just too many.
People want, you know,
well,
for
they
businesses,
suggested
need
it,
but I think it'd be better off as just
right.
a bike path myself. So that's
but I
goes
think
to show.
what's more, if anything happens in the relative near term, I think it'll be something that I would support is making it it's one way now,
Through
but it's
most of it.
mixed, but with a little bit of overlap, and it's a little bit confusing and mixed up. And I think it would make sense for it to just be one way in the same direction
Well,
the whole
starting
way.
where though? Starting like
From
at
the
the
town
Laurel,
clock,
town clock,
all the way
Laurel.
down to here, down toward the beach. That would be.
Do you think
seems
it
that's
would
a simple.
be behooving to have the traffic coming the other way so the tourists that are coming into town could just bail right into the Garden Mall without having to come all the way down to Taco Bell and come back up? That maybe if we did it one way, that they come in.
That's
from
possible
the-
too.
And that way, here we are, we're directing everybody right into the Garden Mall, hey, right off the street, right to downtown.
Well, it sort of depends because there's a lot of sense to that too. What I think we're hoping, and this is to help downtown in general, is to try and do more signage and direction to get people who are coming on Ocean Street, not all to just keep going straight down to the beach, but to actually come across to Front Street and to Pacific Avenue
Right.
and kind of discover downtown on their way into town.
How do you think
And
we
so-
can do that?
Well, signage is actually significant. We really
Starting
have
way
a
back
remark
there
right
at
from
the-
Ocean Street,
Yeah.
right when people come off the freeway, and it happens now a good amount, but I think there's more that could be done. Especially another thing that can be done along that line is if we had more parking, say at the county government center for tourists to park there and then
Shuttle
get out of their
buses.
car, and the shuttle that went through downtown on the way to the beach. There's just different ways I think we can help get visitors into downtown,
I
and that
think
would
that's
really
a
help.
great idea, and I love the little shuttle bus that we have right now from downtown to the beach. I use it regularly because it's so much easier to try to find parking. And if we had something like that, that would be a wonderful plan. Well, that's all great stuff. So, and part of this growth plan, I hear we might be able to get a sports team
Right,
interested in
right.
down here. And,
Right.
here at Community TV, I was a big fan of that whole concept that the Warriors came to town. Maybe we could get the contract here to cover those games. And I mean, I'm like a strong supporter of basketball and organized sports, and I'm just a fanatic now. I know there's not as many people that feel that way as I do, but what's the sense right now with City Hall and people with the Warriors thing?
It's very positive. I mean, there's a lot of work still to be done. I think a lot of folks in the community think, oh, it's happening for sure. And it's very likely. I don't want to be pessimistic, but there's still a few things to be worked out about the finances and the contracts between the city and the Warriors. The property owner of the land where
That's
where
what
the building
the
will be
big issue right now is how do we get around the Coastal Commission?
Well,
and
it's not
pulling all
that, that's not an issue. It's actually not going to be something that the Coastal Commission will have any impact on.
Is it because it's further away from all the
right.
other stuff?
It's not right on the coast, so
Okay.
it's not in there.
Well, what's the location tentatively right
Well,
now?
there's a parking lot. You know where there's a new Walgreens?
Yeah, right here on Laurel
down,
Street.
Right down at Laurel near Pacific and Front. So if you were in the parking lot of that Walgreens and you looked toward the river from there, you would see a tire store, and then just to the right of it is a big parking lot that
that's
is owned
where
by the
the-
Seaside
right,
Company's
that's their-
employee parking.
right.
That parking lot is where we're looking at.
Oh, wow. See, I thought it was down by the roundabout where the new park is what I was thinking. So, well, that's right there
Right.
downtown.
So it's
Wow.
right, and that's another. Just
Wow.
going back to your earlier question about some things that could be really helpful for downtown. If
Oh,
with the
yeah, if we
arena
could get
there,
some events
there'd be a
going on
lot
in
of
there.
foot traffic around this end of Pacific Avenue near Community TV. This, near Laurel and Pacific. There's a lot of potential there for new activity. And it is mostly, initially, certainly about the basketball, but it is creating this semi-permanent arena, which will have the potential to do have all kinds of other
Well,
activities.
yeah, it's like
at
a
it.
little event center in San Jose, and I've done a lot of work at the event center, concert-wise and sports-wise. Heck, we had the sumo wrestlers there, and many concerts from Dave Matthews to Primus, and I could just see them. Now, how's that? I love the Civic Auditorium, and there's no way we can improve on that site as opposed to building a new site. Is there just
Well, we did. We actually put that when this idea first came up, and the Warriors basketball organization came to the city and sort of said we're interested. That's the first place we sent.
Well,
they
that would
looked
make
at, and that's where
sense.
we said. The problem is that they need an arena that'll seat a couple thousand people at least,
We're
at minimum.
1,200,
And
I
the,
think,
right,
at
the
the
Civic, the most with basketball there now is about 1,200, 1,100. But in addition, that basketball court is not big enough for an NBA professional
So the
team.
whole place would
So
have
they
to
would
be
have had to be,
scrapped.
well, they would have had to remodel it so even substantially and only lose more seats. So it really would have ended up being, you could have
complete
turned it into a
rebuild.
good court, but not enough room for people to watch. So that's why we did spend quite a bit of time trying to figure out if there was a way to make that work, but we just couldn't do it.
Wow, that's interesting because I do love the Civic. So is the Civic still going to be around, or is it
Oh,
going
yeah.
to get phased out then?
You know, we don't. It's a little unclear. I think what this will cause is for the community and the city to say, okay, is there some, if this other event center and arena is taking certain activities that might have otherwise gone to the Civic, is there something we can do with the Civic to make it work better for other things? For instance, and I'm not an expert at this, but for instance, because it's partly a basketball arena, all we have when there's performances there is we put in folding chairs on the floor. Well, what if we're really going to turn it into more of a performing arts center, for instance, then you could remodel the inside and really make it even better as a performing arts venue, because it isn't ideal now. I mean, it works, but it's not
Oh, it's
perfect.
got so much history, and I've done so many wonderful shows there too,
Yeah.
from George Thorogood and the Tubes and everybody that used to work out there. I mean, I'd hate to see it just fall apart and go by the wayside. And so, yeah, remodel the Civic would be a wonderful idea. Well, Don, let's take a second, wrap it up. What you got anything up your sleeves that we need to know about for this summer?
I'm hoping I get a week off sometime this summer before I'm running for re-election in the fall.
I didn't know. Congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get a little break in August before hitting the campaign
All
trail.
right.
Yeah, but that's
Well, you
what's
keep
going
in touch, and whatever we can do to help you out,
Great.
that's fabulous. So again, folks, Don
Thanks,
Layton, our
Randy.
illustrious mayor of Santa Cruz, thank you so
Pleasure.
much for being here. And there's a lot of good going on in Santa Cruz. And tell your friends to come out this summer and hang out at the boardwalk and watch one of the movies or see a band and come downtown and get some of the best food you could eat in the country. Oh, we got it all here in Santa Cruz. Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Sam.
All right.
Hi, I'm Robert Norris. I work with a group called Homeless United for Friendship and Freedom. And Sandra's given me 5 minutes to rant at you, so here we go. Rhode Island has recently passed a Bill of Rights for homeless people. And California activists are pressing for that to happen here in Santa Cruz and in California as well. This is striking out, at least in theory, against the national wave of out-of-sight, out-of-mind laws here in Santa Cruz and in other jurisdictions affecting many of the country's roughly 643,000 street folks. The Rhode Island Homeless Bill of Rights prohibits police, healthcare workers, landlords, or employers from threatening homeless people unfairly because of their housing status. It doesn't ask for or grant special or extra rights or not granted to any other person or group of persons, just guaranteeing existing rights, guaranteed by the California and U.S. constitutions by specifically identifying homeless persons as having those rights. Presently, homeless persons who are discriminated against suffer damages. Police in Santa Cruz and elsewhere rely on the fear generated by their badge, uniform, gun, and training to force people to move along, particularly poor and homeless people who should have a right to use public spaces like all of us. Asserting your rights against half a dozen squad cars that can suddenly appear on Pacific Avenue is not something most folks, much less poor folks, are interested in doing. When officers Warren, Forbes, and Winston appear to enforce a merchant's special interest demand that the public sidewalk be cleared of people they find unsightly, such as they do under the sitting ban. When a lawyer across from New Leaf wants to shut down performers they don't like, we have an example of the enforcement of the severe time and place restrictions on that kind of thing. When a local host threatens a poor woman sitting with a sign on Pacific Avenue with a ticket, it's not easy for a homeless person to say, "Leave me alone, I have a right to be here." We're entering dark times when it's becoming socially acceptable to behave in a bigoted and brutal way toward poor and homeless people. The SCPD is now urging people to inform on their homeless neighbors, to let loose the police on those whose only crime is their need to do what those in homes do every night: sleep. The SCP has unilaterally announced that even though there's survival shelter for less than 5% of Santa Cruz's homeless population, it will begin destroying homeless campsites throughout the area in the next month. I'm making this broadcast on July 11th, 2012. Santa Cruz authorities are threatening to prosecute over 150 people, most of them likely homeless, for not trekking to court to deal with harassment tickets they previously gave them for life-sustaining behavior. These prosecutions threaten up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine for not coming to court to deal with tickets for sleeping, sitting on the sidewalk, having an open container in public, riding a bike the wrong way on a one-way street, being in a park after hours, or being at City Hall at night, to name a few of the crimes being used to terrorize the poor. The Coonerty cabal at City Council, backed by Take Back Santa Cruz and the Downtown Association, passed laws that clear-cut the Constitution, give free rein to administrative heads to issue executive orders that set up forbidden zones, making Santa Cruz a little like Northern Ireland in the 70s or Afghanistan today, because simply being at City Hall at night after 10 o'clock or sitting on a bench at the library at that time, or sleeping anywhere after 11, deprives you of all constitutional rights. You can't be there, you're subject to arrest. Back in February, Chief Vogel selectively targeted homeless activists, reporters, writers, and peacekeepers, the Santa Cruz 11, of which I am one. Though judges have dismissed charges against half of us, DA Bobley is still spending hundreds of thousands in resources and court time to prevent a resurgence of the Occupy Santa Cruz movement here. We face up to 7 years in prison for peaceful protest or simply reporting on that protest. I'm Robert Norse. Thanks for listening.
Mountain Mike's Pizza, where the freshest ingredients and delicious toppings equal great pizza. With a full salad bar, a buffet table, and a fun, family-friendly atmosphere. We got game rooms for the kids, 3 big screen TVs. Mountain Mike's Pizza, located at 3715 Portola Drive.
Do you want to have dancing bones too? Well, it's very simple. Just visit the McClellan Wellness Center on Seabright Avenue in Santa Cruz. Give him a chance and he'll make your bones dance the night away. McClellan Wellness Center.